is no better in terms of what we've seen him preside over. So I think we need to be very clear-eyed about this. It is a good thing that Pam Bondi is not the attorney general anymore, and it shows you that the administration is facing more and more setbacks from this agenda. And at the same time, as you said, the president is not interested in the Department of Justice functioning with integrity, functioning as it has, protecting the American people. And so for Democracy Forward, we're going to still, be in court until we see a sea change, which I don't know that we'll see until the elections. One thing and takeaway that I had from the Bondi announcement yesterday, and I was at a law school, I was actually speaking to some law students right after the announcement came out. But, the president and Bondi really intimidated the legal profession. And there were many law firms, as we know, that felt that they needed to stay in the good graces of Pam Bondi and the president and capitulated. And then, of course, there have been the firms that haven't, and the lawyers, like the lawyers on our team and in so many places and in the state AG's offices, that have been on the front lines every single day. I hope this departure of Bondi helps people within the legal profession take a real look, because it's just this is not aging well, the capitulation, and courage is. Courage is aging well, and so that's the other piece of this. Is in my statement yesterday, we're really calling on people to take a look. It's not too late to get on the right side of history. Stop the capitulation. If you're on the sidelines, that ends up being the wrong side of history too when it's all said and done. And so this is really, I think, a time for people to really look and review the bidding and realize this is not going to end well for the president. And we all need to be on the side of the people in our Constitution.
Yeah, my favorite saying of Abraham Lincoln is, I think, more appropriate now than it has ever been. And that is, be sure to place your feet in the right place, then stand firm. And the
Right.
people who have stood firm have come out ahead, and they have, done a real service to democracy and to the rule of law. So let me just ask you this, because maybe we can leave people with a little bit of a silver lining and a point of light on the Pam Bondi
Right.
front, because there were ethics complaints filed against Pam Bondi throughout the first year, the year
Correct.
that she was the attorney general. However, the Florida State Bar has a rule that says we will not investigate, congressionally appointed presidential officers, executive branch officers. But now that she's no longer one of those, she can be investigated. And I saw some reporting today where there is a group, multiple ethics complaints were filed previously, but there's a group that consists of 70 lawyers, former judges, legal
Yes.
scholars, including two former Florida Supreme Court justices who are now preparing, and I quote, a greatly enhanced and significantly stronger ethics complaint. And now there's nothing stopping the Florida bar from investigating and moving in the direction of sanctions if they find she acted unethically. And how could they not?
And at the same time, there's also, don't forget, he may have tried to oust her from the Department of Justice to prevent congressional testimony, but there's nothing stopping Congress from calling anybody in that they believe is operating or has operated or has facts that are relevant to the investigations that they are doing. So I think that there's a hard road ahead for her, and for good measure. And this is also the warning sign for so many lawyers. I mean, at Democracy Forward, in many of our cases, we have faced Department of Justice lawyers that have made misrepresentations to the court, that have not been able to force their clients to comply with the court orders. There are professional ethics consequences to that. There also, in many instances, can be civil and criminal consequences to that, federally and at the state level. Of course, some of that won't be enforced by this Department of Justice, but accountability has, a longer shelf life than this administration, and there's many of us that are going to see to that accountability.
Here, here. Okay, so where can people find Democracy Forward? How can they support your great work?
Yeah, so you can go to democracyforward.org, sign up for our newsletter. We do not spam you. We will send you urgent messages sometimes to keep you up to date about something that's happening in the court. Last week, we won a court order that saved 900,000 people's status that President Trump just sort of arbitrarily pulled out from under them. So we're going to want to keep you up to speed on that. But we do not spam you. We don't ask you to rush money every day or anything like that. We have great newsletters. We're on all social media channels. So you can follow Democracy Forward there. You can follow me me on social media, and I try to amplify the work of Democracy Forward. And we really appreciate the support. As you mentioned, we are fighting for people every day. We do not charge our clients a dime. It doesn't matter what our client is, we are there for the people, and we are able to do that pro bono work and step in for many legal institutions that capitulated and haven't been doing that pro bono work. We're able to do that because of generous contributions, but also because people like your listeners, they get in touch with us. I mean, they email us and say, "This is happening in my community." We respond to that. And we've been able to get into court in many instances because ordinary, average Americans have reached out to say, "Are you aware of this? Are you aware of that?" So we really want you to be part of our community.
Great. And as our friends know, because we have community meetings every night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Substack, community is everything. So, Scott, thank you for what you're doing, representing the interests of the American people, and thanks for jumping on with us today.
Thanks so much.
If you have a constant tight spot at the base of your skull that won't go away no matter what you try, doctors are probably missing this one thing. It's called occipital nerve compression, and the telltale signs are that constant tightness or tenderness right here at the base of the skull, usually worse on one side, that triggers shooting pain, tension headaches, and brain fog. Unfortunately, most doctors quickly write it off as just tension or stress headaches without checking what's actually being compressed. So people are left wondering, why won't this tight spot go away? And here's why nothing seems to work. Painkillers, heating pads, expensive massage guns, even relaxation techniques. They don't address the root problem. Let me explain. These are your occipital nerves. They run from the top of your cervical spine, right here at the base of your skull, up over your head. When the suboccipital muscles get chronically tight from stress, poor posture, or forward head position, they compress these nerves. That's the pressure you feel. That's why you get tension headaches that start there and crawl up into your head. That's the brain fog. So what actually works? Physical therapists use a specific approach, gentle cervical traction at a 26-degree angle to decompress the base of the skull, combined with therapeutic heat and targeted massage. The problem? You need to go consistently, 2 to 3 times a week, for months, at $80 to $150 per session. That adds up fast, and most people can't keep up with that schedule. So a group of physical therapists and engineers got together and asked, what if we could bring this exact same therapy home? They developed a device that applies the same 26-degree cervical decompression, combined with adjustable heat and vibration therapy, everything the clinics use, just 15 minutes a day, in your own home. Within the first week, that constant tender